You've turned into T.C. McCarthy, the handsomest and in this case sickest science fiction author on video. Yeah, I've got the flu, and it's going around everywhere, every state. I think there are only 2 states where it's not having a major impact. And I got to tell you, like, I always get the shots and they never work. I'm starting to wonder is it even worth getting the shots? They say it lessens the severity of the illness, but that hasn't been my experience. So if you've got the flu, take care of yourself. Don't go into work and spread it around to everybody. It really gets spread easily. Believe me, I have a bit of a background in biology and biochemistry, and flu is one of the nastiest ones out there because it just, it lasts on hard surfaces for a while, and it floats through the air, and you can get it just by talking with somebody if they're less than 6 feet away from you. So, take care of yourself. Don't spread it. Don't be a jerk. And while you're at it, buy my book, Tyger Burning, pre-order it. There's a video here, explaining why that's important. If I don't sound enthused, give me a break. It's because I'm sick. Now, I want to thank everybody who's recently joined my channel. Please don't use this video as an example of what my videos are like. Usually I'm high energy. Today I'm not so high energy. But I've got a big bolus of new followers in the past couple of weeks, and I want to welcome you to the channel. Thank you for joining me. And to those of you who stuck with me all along, I couldn't do this without you. And I really appreciate all the questions and comments I get from you guys. You're fantastic. I have one of the best audiences on YouTube. It's small, but you guys are powerful. And again, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for bothering with these videos. What are we going to talk about today? Well, it's one of those cases where the truth is stranger than fiction. And I'm a big kind of like space fan in general, in addition to being a science fiction author. I like looking at the history of space travel, U.S. space travel, Russian space travel. Haven't gotten so much into Chinese space travel and its history. But today what we're going to look at is this case where the Russian space program, Russians have an interesting problem that they had to solve back when they first started their space program, and that is they wanted to go ahead and recover their astronauts on land, not water like we do in the U.S. So they had to develop a system that would allow their astronauts to safely land at a speed where they'd hit the ground and everyone would be okay. And it involved retro rockets firing just before they hit ground, etc. But anytime you're going to hit ground, especially in the remote regions of Kazakhstan, or let's say something goes off course and you wind up in remote Siberia, those astronauts have to survive in some situations for a long time until rescuers can get to them, especially in the case where they go off course, and that has happened. So the Russian space program had to develop this interesting survival pack that goes up. Even today, I think some version of it goes up with cosmonauts, but it started back in the late 1960s, and based on the experience of one Soyuz crew, or included some very unusual and unique kind of gear. So what is it? Well, there are several different versions of the pack that went up with the cosmonauts, but the one I'm going to talk mostly about right now is the TP-82. And how this came about is that a couple of astronauts in Soyuz landed in remote Siberia, and they had to basically fend for themselves for 2 days. It was right in the middle of bear and wolf mating season, and they had to survive for 2 days out there before they finally managed to ski into a town and get rescued. Don't ask me how they had skis, but anyway, apparently they did. And after that, when they got back, they requested some certain items be sent into space with all cosmonauts, and that resulted in the TP-82. The most interesting article in the TP-82 was this weird hybrid gun, and I'm going to include a picture of it here, that was basically part shotgun, part flare gun, and I think that basically you had 2 kind of shotgunish barrels, both of which could accept a flare or a shotgun shell, and then you had a center lower barrel that was rifle caliber for long range shooting if they needed to hunt or fend off against. It was actually also designed for landing in hostile territory, right? So if they ever landed in Texas or America, they could shoot people. Anyway, it was an interesting design because not only was it a weapon like that, it was also part machete. The stock actually had a sharpened blade on one edge and doubled as a machete. Now, as I said, they had several survival kits, and I think the TP-82 is the most interesting. But I think a lot of them had certain things in common. Like you would expect, there would be maybe some warm weather gear, mittens, and in some cases some Ugg-like boots, so that if they landed in the wintertime in some remote area, they wouldn't freeze their feet off. But some carried, I think today they go into space with a Makarov pistol, compass, waterproof matches, and a striker, fishing kit, a strobe light with a spare battery so that, they can signal to people, fire starters, folding knives, antenna, signal mirror, radio, pen light, flashlight, radio batteries, and that about covers everything. I think there's probably some survival food in there as well. Now, the pistols they carry today, they actually, if they've got Russians on the International Space Stations, those guys have pistols. And it's not really intended to kill animals on the ground as much as it's intended just to scare them, right? So if they get too close, wolves, for example, fire it into the air or fire it in their direction and it'll scare them off, those types of things. But anyway, so that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Sorry it's a quick one, but I'm not feeling that well. Check it out. Google that on YouTube, and you'll see the interesting contents of these things. The really interesting one, as I said, is the TP-82 with that weird hybrid 3-barreled weapon. But anyway, the Russians had a very different take on certain aspects of space travel and safety upon cosmonaut return, simply because of their geography and other solutions that they came to that were different from ours. That's it. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Again, buy my book, pre-order it, cover right here. Pew! End transmission. Hey, T.C. McCarthy here, the most eclectic and entertaining science fiction author on YouTube, maybe even the internet. Thanks for watching this video. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. As usual, buy my books. I've got a new one coming out in July, and I'll have a giveaway coming up soon, so stay tuned for that. Appreciate you subscribing to my channel, and please, 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 please don't forget to click that little bell icon so that whenever I upload new content, you get notified. Thanks again. See you soon.